Hi everyone, welcome to this new edition of the Ultimate Live Podcast, hosted by your unstoppable, unbreakable, and the magnificent Mr. D. That is me. Well, today we're going to talk about Israel-Iran war. Who is going to have the last word? Right? Who's going to have the last word? Who's going to throw the last punch? Who's going to use, no, well, who's going to launch the last missile in this war? Well, guys, if you don't know, this is breaking news this morning. Early this morning, we have learned that Iran has been hit. Israel has decided to escalate the war with Iran. So they have launched an attack on Iranian soil, Iranian facility, and Iranian uh, military um, military bases. So this morning we're learning that the Israel military or Israeli military has launched an attack which is unsupported. We get told, these words, unsupported by the United States of America. So they say. They say the USA, we're not supporting. But does it really matter what the US says? Does it really matter what the US says? Guys, does it matter? Does it matter? Israel. Let's put the Israel war. Right. Live explosion reported on Iran activates air defense system in Isfahan. Isfahan is a city south of Tehran, the capital. So all of these stories that are reported that Iran was hit, you can't see this on any Israeli official media. Just like the embassy strike, you can't see it in any official, uh, well, for time. Like Israel, when they hit, they keep it quiet or a secret. It's a weird kind of secret. Everyone knows you've done it, and then you're the only one who say nothing. You don't say we didn't do it. You don't say we did do it, but you just say nothing. So as it stands, Israel has decided, apparently, regardless of the opposition, the American opposition has decided single-handedly to respond to the response of Iran. Remember who started this whole thing. This whole thing started with Israel hitting target and destroying Iranian interest and killing Iranian scientists for years and years and years. And the one drop that was one too many or one too much was the one where Israel decided to destroy the Iranian embassy in Damascus. That was the 1st of April. Right? It was not April Fool Day. That was real. They actually destroyed the Iranian embassy in Damascus. So, from that, Iran took their time and did what any state, any normal government, country will do. Excuse me. That is to respond to the attack. And Iran responded to the attack accordingly. Funny enough, Israel started claiming they were the victim here of an Iranian unprecedented attack on their territory and that they will retaliate. Well, you started the whole thing. So this is going to be retaliation over retaliation until one gets tired of this retaliation game, right? So we're going to have Iran retaliate against Israel. Recent attack, which happened early this morning, and the show will continue. Now, I can tell you what will happen in the next few days. You see, America would have wanted uh, let me just make you listen to this.
Israel did commit these strikes on Iran, that the U.S. did not endorse or approve or participate in any of those strikes, but that it was given warning on Thursday that they would occur within 24 to 48 hours. I was at the State Department a little earlier on Thursday, and at the time, we were getting reports that these attacks were likely, that they would happen after Passover, which starts on Monday, so this is earlier than that. The idea was that there were many options being presented, and among those options was that in order to de-escalate, Israel might be striking proxy sites of Iran, perhaps Hezbollah in Lebanon, perhaps sites in Iraq or elsewhere. But they chose to strike on Iranian soil, and that is a concern for the Biden administration, which has been urging restraint and de-escalation. And the concern here in Washington is that this might become an escalation. So this is the middle, perhaps, of the conflict. Maybe not the end.
John, would the Biden administration have received any warning from the Israelis that they're about to carry out some kind of retaliatory strike against Iran? Some media outlets seem to suggest they were.
Yes, indeed, and that's what we're being told, that the Biden administration was given warning. We know that Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, talked to his
Biden administration was given warning about Israel
earlier in the day. We don't know if that
attacking
is the point
Iran,
at which the Israelis
and
gave the U.S. this
they said,
information. But we
no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Thursday, and
well, Israel said, we don't care.
To 48
You're going to give us more weapons anyway.
So, especially considering that the U.S. is the greatest sponsor of Israelis.
Yeah, U.S.
The
greatest
Israeli
sponsor.
military program. The U.S. gives billions of dollars each year to Israel for that purpose.
They give billions, but they can't hold their mad dog.
But we are told
the U.S. give billions to Israel, but they can't control their mad dog.
And
right?
As for whether the U.S. thinks that
Make
this
some sense out
conflict
of
is
it.
over, perhaps not. The U.S. Embassy in Israel in Jerusalem has warned employees to restrict their movements for themselves and their families, saying the security environment remains complex and can change quickly depending on the political situation and recent events. So if the U.S. is telling its embassy employees in Israel to be careful, that means the U.S. doesn't believe that this is necessarily over. That may be an abundance of caution, but it's also a way of saying, watch out, we don't know that this situation has ended.
Let me squeeze in one more question, John. How is this all playing out domestically and politically for Joe Biden and his administration? I mean, this, as we know, is an election year. And as you've been reminding us, Biden says he's been trying to prevent the US being dragged into a much wider conflict in the Middle East.
That's right. President Biden warned Iran, don't do this. Of course, Iran ignored them, warned the Israelis to please not de-escalate the situation, to exercise caution. The Israelis went ahead and struck on Iranian soil. And so really, Biden looks weak. Neither side has been listening to him in this conflict. He has been.
Biden does look weak. Neither side is listening to him.
He has privately told aides that he has been concerned might happen. We've started to see congressional responses roll in recent hours. Marco Rubio writing, I hear Khomeini is having a blast today on his birthday. An attempt at humor there, apparently, from the Republican from Florida. Other responses are largely supportive of Israel and critical of Biden. And the fact
so you see what Israel's done there. Israel went to their allies and they told him not to retaliate, and they choose not to respond. However, they went ahead pressing for sanctions, demanding that their allies apply sanctions on Iran. Then the allies apply sanctions on Iran. Then Israel doubled up by striking Iran, despite all the sanctions that were applied on Iran.
So in an election year, this isn't
early
for Biden.
All right, so John Hendren, live for us there in Washington.
This
John,
is
no doubt we'll talk
what
to
you
later.
call
Thank you very much indeed for your
a
time.
mad
Well,
war.
speaking earlier on Thursday, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations accused Iran of being the source of regional instability.
It is Iran that ensured Hamas was able to orchestrate the October 7th massacre. It is the Ayatollah regime in Tehran that has provided weaponry to Hezbollah to rain down missiles on Israeli towns and cities. It is the Ayatollah regime in Tehran that has equipped the Houthis with cruise missiles to fire at merchant vessels. And it is the Ayatollah regime that launched an unprecedented attack at Israel, a fellow UN member state, less than a week ago.
Well, the US ambassador to the UN also condemned Iran at that same meeting.
Iran and its militant partners, including Hamas, have driven us to the precipice of a broader conflict. The United States condemns Iran's direct attack on Israel, which we, along with Israel and other partners, helped to defeat. There is no doubt Iran's aim in launching more than 300 munitions at Israel was to inflict significant damage and cause a loss of life. The U.S. commitment to Israel's security is ironclad. Repeat, ironclad.
Let's bring in Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo, who's at UN headquarters in New York.
This is so funny,
with this developing story. Just
funny
remind
game.
us, if you can, what we've been hearing from the United Nations over the past week or so about these escalating tensions between Iran and Israel.
Well, the Secretary General has been very concerned about it, quite frankly, and we've been hearing about from him over the past week or so, but even as recently as just within the last 15 hours or so, early on Thursday, he was speaking, giving some remarks in the Security Council chambers during the quarterly open debate on the Middle East and the question of Palestine. And
I'm going to have one podcast here on Palestine
again
shortly,
condemning Israel's
because we've got it there,
attack on
Middle
the
East
Iranian
crisis, UN Security Council to
Damascus, and
vote
also
on granting
condemning
membership
Iran's
to Palestine.
retaliatory strikes on
Well, a
Israel
move,
on
it says
Saturday.
here, a move here
But also,
that
ultimately, when
would
the Iranians
block
fired a handful of more modern
will be
missiles,
blocked by
those hit their targets
the
over
US. The US who's been claiming that they want a two-state solution, but they will block the move for a membership in the United Nations. Go on, find out why.
defense shield.
We know Isfahan is known for having nuclear facilities, and an Iranian news agency reports that those sites are safe. But do you believe that Israel was specifically targeting those sites?
It's too early to say. We'll have to wait a couple of hours. It's the weekend here in Iran. Fridays are part of the weekend. So people get up late, and the government is usually not so swift on weekends either. So it'll take a few hours, but from what I've been hearing from Isfahan, from people who are online, everything is normal.
And are you expecting Iran to carry out a retaliatory attack in line with what we saw this past weekend, perhaps?
If it is confirmed that there was an attack from Israel, yes, without a doubt, that the Iranians will strike back.
And what do you think is likely to happen next on either side, from Israel or Iran? Do you see this escalating further?
Well, we have to see what happened. We don't really know yet, but I think it's fair to say that if it becomes clear that there was an attack carried out by the Israelis, or if there is to be an attack carried out by the Israelis, the Iranians will
Yeah,
retaliate.
we will have
Their policy
a
is
show
changed,
on
and the Iranians have a
the
huge
UN Security
drone
Council
and
vote
missile
on Palestine
capability,
full
probably the
membership,
largest in the world.
and that
A lot of people
will be
are expecting are
very
demanding
short.
from the Iranian government to be tough
We
on
have
Israel.
to do it.
Okay, so we're in wait and see mode, at least for the moment. Political analyst and professor at
So
Harvard University.
the question now is what happened next? The question now is who is going to drop their weapon first? And I promise you, it's not going to be Iran. Iran. Iran will have to respond. Yes, Iran will have to respond to this. And it can't be the person who attacked first who has the last word. Doesn't make any sense.
How the retaliation from Iran has been covered in US media, the media landscape you inhabited before starting Redacted.
Yeah. You know, it's confounding. Of course, we all see that. But what's confounding me the most is how the United States continues to spin whether or not Israel not having civilian losses in Iran's retaliation just several days ago. Say, let's see that as a win and de-escalate. It seems as though the United States has its puppets off their leash. These puppies are off the leash. They're not in control any longer. So the spin, it just doesn't make any sense anymore unless you're only just joining the conversation right now, because the last 2 years have shown that the United States doesn't get their way. They spin things in a way that doesn't make any sense at all. Like you mentioned in your introduction, that Zelensky now expressing support for the genocide in Gaza. What does he care? He supported a genocide in the Donbass for the whole of his presidency. So clearly that doesn't bother him. Taking the champion that was Zelensky and now resigning him to second seat, it's just clear that foreign policy in the United States is inconsistent, and it has nothing to do with respect for life.
Right, guys. So we'll end this show here. Do you agree that a weak America is a weak world and a strong America is a strong world? I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree. This is by Nero 357. I don't agree. A weak America. A weak America is good for the world. Right? Strong America is a danger to the world. That's what they do. Look at what they're doing in the United Nations. America killed the United Nations. They killed the United Nations. They destroyed it because of their power. They have too much power. Now the United Nations is pretty much useless. Useless at doing politics or even being the place where people find solution for problems. No more. No more. They can't vote the United Nations a resolution to do anything meaningful because it will get blocked. Because there are clearly two sides now to the United Nations, and their motivation is not on what is right, it's on what will annoy the other side, what will damage the other side. America will take vote resolutions with the two aims: one, to show their strength, and two, to damage the other side. And the other side is mindful of that, and they do exactly the same. That's Russia and China. They do exactly the same. So anything that will benefit America or show any American strength, they will veto that. Anything that will give America the sense that they are the most powerful, they will veto that. So at the minute, they should destroy that thing called the United Nations. They should actually cancel and create a new one. But who will dare to say that and do that? Nobody. The United Nations is just run by the US and their allies and Israel. So everybody knows that. So as long as that's the case, well, nothing good will come out of it. And it's about time that useless entity should be destroyed. It will be. United Nations will kind of need reforming, heavily reforming. I mean, it's like it needs complete reforming. If not, somebody can even say that it needs to be dissolved and um, it could and create another body that will be different to what we have there right now. So is the US that actually bear the responsibility for this failure? They're the ones that launched the war in Iraq. They're the ones that launched the war in Libya. They are the ones that launched the war in Afghanistan and ended up pulling out. So this war, two of them were launched without the approval of the United Nations. So despite the opposition of the United Nations, those wars were launched by the USA, and that's what destroyed the United Nations. African states should come together and understand the need and the goal and their position of strength. If African states continue to act as weak, as if they have nothing to offer, they will continue to be uh, at the receiving end of the bad deals from the powerful nations. Together, Africa can do great things. Together, Africa can fight the rest of the world. But will the leaders actually convene to be together? That is a big question. So I've got it there that now I think what will happen next is that America will try to pass a resolution asking for a ceasefire in in the Israel-Iran war. But first, they have to convince the world that it was Israel that hit Tehran, because Israel hasn't actually acknowledged that they hit Tehran at all, which is a strange, which is one thing that complicates matters even worse. Lyrics could be a measure, a massive world power. They have most of the natural resources and gold and diamond and oil. Yes, I don't know whether it's lyrics that you wanted to say or you want to say uh, Libya could be a massive world power. They have most of the natural resources in gold and diamond. I think that was, oh, you said Africa, right? That's right. Africa has everything, and Africa has been made to believe that they have nothing, that they're just poor, that yeah. So Africa need to wake up and realize that they're sitting on what you call into resources. They have everything for their betterment, for their development, um, transformation, and until we realize that we were at the bottom of the queue when it comes to development and economical prosperity, but we have it all. Without Africa, the West cannot uh, prosper. Without Africa, put it that way. So this is it for me. We're gonna do another number on the vote to United Nations for Palestine to be recognized as a member state. See you in the comment section below. The debate continues. That was Mr. D.